Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're having a great day. Hopefully, if you are stuck in the white cold that has fallen into the Midwest and given our northern neighbors something to gawk at and basically laugh at us while we try to dig ourselves out, this is the life.
If it helps, I'm not laughing. And I don't
No?
know anybody around me is laughing. No, because snow is a huge amount of work. And I
It
think
is.
anybody gets it. Although I have zero snow. We have a little bit of patches here and there. When people piled it up, it's still piled up. But the roads are all clear. The driveway is clear. The yard is clear. The deck is clear. And I didn't like scrape the yard or anything. It's just the snow's all gone. It's 7 right now, which is cool.
So it is
All
cold.
puns intended. Yeah, but no. And the thing is, it's like this huge winter storm coming. I'm like, yes, I got to get out my snow blower finally. I'm going to actually do something. I'm going to get out there and, do some. And I want to do that cold work because I'm a weirdo, but nothing, not even rain. Just we might have a 20% chance, I think, in a couple or 3 days or by the weekend, might have a little snow.
We got historical snowfall
Yeah.
down here. First time in 30 years that 12 inches has fallen, and people are
Wow.
losing their minds.
Yeah.
And the city is completely unprepared for it when it comes to smaller communities and getting
hmm
dug out.
Oh, yeah.
I actually drove Corey to work today because I needed to use our Highlander to take a snowblower up to help an elderly gentleman who's goes to my friend's church and take care of his driveway with my snowblower that I got
hmm
this spring from one of the dads in the dads group.
Nice.
But it's worked really well. I was able to plow. I basically did all the sidewalks in our block, and actually some of the people's like parking spaces and driveways and stuff like that. So made it a little bit easier for some of our older folks in the neighborhood to have access, or for their family to have access to get to them.
hmm Yeah.
So
Good of you to do that.
yeah.
I am jealous. And
But
I'm gonna
I
go ahead.
blame this all on I blame this all on the teachers, by the way, and the kids, for two reasons. I'll give you one reason is I was on the dad lounge last week, and Jeremy Haston was telling me that his kids' school sent them all home Christmas break with their tablets, just in case
Just in
something
case.
like this. Then there's this thing that I don't know if my kids' teachers taught them this or what, but apparently, if you would like to, I guess, throw your lucky coins into the fountain to try to like get your wish of a snow day, the ideal thing to do is to flush ice cubes down the toilet, is what they told them to do. And they're only
Sure,
supposed
man.
to do like three in the morning and three in the afternoon to like try to like, sway that thing. No, not my kids. My kids went out and got 15 ice cubes and flushed them all down the toilet with glee, and were laughing their heads off as they did it. And Corey and I are like, "What are you doing in the bathroom?" And they're like, "Flushing ice cubes down the toilet." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "We flushed 15." And I'm just like, ah. And then we get 12 inches of snow. Jerks.
They did it.
They
It's all their
they
fault.
they accomplished it. Yeah.
And of course, coming from Georgia, I have never heard of this. We didn't even really have snow days. Really, we had just like maybe one day a year we'll give you. Well, it's all icy. Just stay home. Somebody dropped a popsicle on the road. We don't want We don't want to get in, the school buses in trouble. So I of course have never heard of this, but I guarantee had I known it when I was a kid, I would also have been flushing ice cubes.
Yeah, it's
Just
not
might as
something that
well.
I knew. I think it's a new thing, to be honest.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I'm like, what does that have to do? What does the toilet have to do with snowing? I don't understand. I don't know where the dot to dot would be to connect that one. But for kids, it's perfect.
Sure.
Because they don't have to have the logic of it. But I will say, if I heard my kids in the bathroom laughing and giggling and splashing sounds going on, I too would be concerned and immediately going, "Hey, what are you doing? Because none of this sounds good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're having fun, but it's dirty, messy fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say a lot of dads probably right now are having their spidey senses go off of like, oh,
Right?
that's that's just a nightmare waiting to
What's going
happen.
on? What's going on? Something bad is happening. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, it is.
So yeah, so we're on day 3 of snow days. But
Wow.
the other thing was the last time this happened here in the city and they got all this snow, which like I said was 30 years ago. The city was pretty much shut down school-wise for like a week.
Mm,
Now
wow.
I will say that when I drove Corey to work today, I did see that some of the schools are going to school for some of the kids, but I think the fact that our school uses another school system's busing to get them there, and
Okay.
that school system is shut down, is why we're not going.
Oh
Because
yeah.
like you know that this kind of east side of town, like outside of the 275 loop, they got hit really hard. It's all farmland out there too, so
Yeah.
a little bit different atmosphere. So yeah, that's what has caused issues. But other than that, I mean, I drove on the roads and it wasn't bad. So
Yeah.
it is what it is, like just take
Go
it one.
slow, be smart, and you're good.
Exactly.
And I'm okay with it with school buses because you do have 30, 40 kids
Oh
in
yeah.
one vehicle, and the potential for even a small accident at that point with a bus full of kids, it's going to be much, much worse than like if you were driving a car, you bump somebody, yeah, it's okay. But in a bus, you bump somebody, they're probably busted up and potentially kids got hurt. So I'd rather
Yeah.
them close it, and I mean I hate to say that because nobody wants the school closed. At least if you're taking care of kids, you want your kids to go. We got to go. I got to go to work. I got to do this thing. Or I need some time alone for once. You want them to go to school, but I feel like I'm always in favor if the school system says they're going to shut it down. All right, they know what they're talking about better than I do, and I
Sometimes.
support them.
Sometimes. There
Sometimes
are
they're
those
wrong,
like
sure.
there oh yeah, they were definitely wrong in my hometown. So we got all this snow here and I called my dad and was like, "Hey," I was like, "What's it like up there?" He's like, "We didn't get anything." Like it's a
Yeah.
dusting. I was like, "Really?" Like didn't I see on Facebook that they closed the school district down for the day? And he's like, "Oh yeah."
Hmm.
I bet my mom is super happy even more that she's retired from school bus driving because she was a school bus driver for over 25 years. So
Hmm.
yeah, I it was like, well, definitely gambled on that one and lost. That's how
Yeah.
that took place.
Yeah.
So, but it happens. I mean, it happens everywhere. Hey, you sent me a text message
Hmm.
the past couple of days and basically asked me to watch a movie, which hey, love that kind of request. Like done. For real. I kept seeing it show up too, like the advertisement for it, and never really could understand exactly what was going on because the
Hmm.
only line that I saw was where the main character stands up and says that she could crush a walnut with her vagina. And I'm like, what is
Hmm.
this movie?
Hmm. Female empowerment, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, step into your strength. That was awesome. That was an awesome moment. But yeah.
That it was a cool it was a cool moment. Yeah, you asked me to watch NightBitch on Hulu
Hmm.
and with
Adams,
Amy Adams. Yeah, I was gonna say that, and then I was like, that's not right, is it?
right?
With yeah.
I wrote it down because I knew I'd do that. Amy, what's her name? I forgot. But that's just us, Amy Adams. If you ever hear this, that's not anything about you. It's just I barely remember what's his face here. What's your name again?
Yeah, right.
Brock. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, man,
it's on Hulu.
this movie was wild, dude.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I didn't ask you to read the book, which is what I really wanted to do. It is based on a novel by, I had to write her name down too, Rachel Yoder. And the, I think, simplest thing that I could think to describe it is weird. It's just
Oh
a
yeah.
weird story. It's just a weird story, but not in a negative way, not in a bad way. Because again, I just saw the same previews you did, and we were like, let's just watch something, and there wasn't really anything we wanted, and I didn't want anything I'd have to pay a lot of attention to because actually my youngest has been sick and throwing up, and now my oldest has it. So that's great. It's gonna be a great week of barfing for me.
Woo.
But I'm like, let's just put something on that I don't have to worry about, and that way I can leave, if I have to go take every kid or whatever. And so we watched this, and I have to say, I was riveted. I paused it when I left the room, in fact, and that's very rare for me because I'm usually like, I'll figure it out when I get back. But for me, the first and foremost message that I saw, because Amy Adams plays a character who is an at-home mom,
Right.
and her the whole like first 20 minutes of the movie at least is her spending her life and her time and her energy with her 2-year-old.
It's like a
And
Groundhog Day of nightmare.
yeah, it is. It is exactly. It's like the only thing is she probably changes clothes maybe more than I did when I was in that stage. But every like she's walking down the sidewalk again, same exact sidewalk again, but they're wearing different clothes because it's the second day, the third day, the ninth day, the 20th day, where you're doing this exact same thing. And yeah, look at that, it's blue. That's right. And I love that Amy Adams in the movie had an ongoing conversation with this kid. It's obviously not her child. And the kid was able to respond very, very well. But hearing what she said, and you can look at this person and think they look reasonably intelligent, well put together, they have a vocabulary, but no, they're talking about the silly things that kids focus on. And she's talking to her kid in a way that is kind of not like baby voice, but in a little bit diminished. She's not using her full potential and she's talking, and it's just dulling her down over and over and over. And I felt
Yeah.
that so much because just you give up so many things to be an at-home parent. It's such a huge sacrifice. And
Yeah.
a big part of it, like, because she was an artist and evidently a very good
A
artist.
prolific artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
And
say.
well done, and gave it all up. And it was hilarious to me because her husband, because for the first like 30 minutes, you don't see anybody else.
Yeah,
You don't
right.
see
We
a
asked that question
husband.
too. We're like, where's the husband? Like, what's going
Right.
on? Like, where
Is she divorced? Is she separated? Does she never have is she a single mom? What's going on? I actually had to Google it because I had to get up anyway. I'm like, I gotta find out. Is there a guy here somewhere? Is there a woman here? So what's going on?
I
And
called it. I was like,
did you?
this has got to be a dad that travels a lot.
Yeah.
That's what and sure enough, that's what it ended up being.
Yeah.
So,
He comes home and the suitcase out of the taxi and everything and goes up to the door, and she's sitting there with the kid, and they're like, "Oh, Daddy, it's happy to see you." And she's like, "I'm happy to see you too." But here's the kid. I'm losing it, which I feel that in my soul.
well, and even too when she like was like, "Hey, here, you take the kid. I'm gonna go take a shower." Like this
Oh my
Nimrod,
God.
like I was like, dude, uh, there. I think that all stay-at-home parents have this like, I need a shut-off lever. Like you get one when you walk out of this house. Like I need one, and
Mhm.
the working parent a lot of times doesn't understand that,
Yeah,
especially if you're not on the same page. And boy, were they not on the same page. Like,
not
whew,
at all. Yeah.
they were like it sounded like, as you watched it, the communication and the conversation that took place about staying home with the kid and why and how that was going to work was not a well thought out plan at
Mm-mm.
all. And it caused so much resentment and so
Yeah.
much strife. And then you see her just literally like, pulling up her bootstraps and doing the best that she can.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed the inner monologue that she had going,
Yeah.
um, where she basically would be like, you'd hear like this thoughts of what she was going through and stuff. And for me, the one that really struck was where she's has her kid in bed with her, and she's realizing that that co-sleeping thing is just not working
Yeah.
at all, and she's caused all of like just because of making that decision. Now she's stuck with this kid in there, and
Hmm.
that was sort of, I was like, yeah, like I don't envy anybody who tries to do the co-parent or co-sleeping thing. Like co-sleeping
Hmm.
just doesn't like. I, I feel like just like what they showed, it's got way more negative benefits than positive benefits to it.
Yeah. Well, I will say it's not for me. I do know a lot of people that found it very beneficial and
Sure,
did it up until their kids are 5 and 6. And I'm just like, no, no, I'm not that guy. I cannot. And that's just the relationship that I have with my kids, the relationship that I have with my wife, and the fact that, well, honestly, the relationship I have with my bed and sleep. And I can't. You can't be here because when they're tiny, because you do kind of keep them close. I was not going to sleep with a baby in the bed because what if I rolled over? And what if I was so tired? I mean, and that
right.
was unlikely to happen, but whoa. So we had a bassinet like from day 5 or something. I don't know when we had it, but and it wouldn't have worked for us. But again, I know people that it's absolutely successful, and I wish them all the success with it. But again, it wouldn't work for me and my family because yeah, no, you got to
Yeah.
get out, kid. This is my bed, my room. You don't get to share.
Right.
But
Well, the other thing too that was interesting, so they brought up the fact that she didn't like going to like the book baby
hmm
time or whatever, and then she started like she went to it, and these moms like they were just like, "Hey, we're all moms, like let's get together and talk." And she's like, "I don't want to just be friends with these people because they're just moms or whatever," which I
right.
think sometimes is definitely like I want a true friendship, like that kind
Hmm.
of thing. And but at the same time too, sometimes it starts literally at the base level of this is our foundation, this is our
Right.
commonality to the whole thing. And I really like how that whole relationship with the ladies at the book baby like really sort of developed into something much more. And like it just to me like this movie, for as much as it shows like all these different like negative things as far as like just you're just getting hit like left and right with like all this world stuff where it's like, man, like it's this is a lot. Like I feel like in a lot of ways too, like it's a great movie for anybody who's like, oh yeah, being an at-home parent's great. And it's like, watch this movie. Because the scene in the grocery store with the lady who's like bumps into her and she's like, "Oh, it must be so great for you to be at home with your kid the whole
Right.
time." And like her honest like
Uh-huh.
response to it was perfect.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing too, is that as you go through it, well, like the one time when she said it and her husband said something moronic, which it's only moronic because he doesn't experience it, he doesn't recognize it. And she said, I want to give up my career and be an at-home mom. And and he took it as, okay, this is what you want, this is what will make you happy, we'll do that. And he didn't look any
He didn't
deeper into it.
push back or anything
No,
on it.
at
Yeah.
all, which I get, I mean, and also if if anybody comes to you and says, your partner comes and says, I will take care of all of the garbage duties, and you go out and build a career. There's no person in the world would go, oh no, I don't want to do that. I want you to, not. I want to share all of that garbage with you. It's a natural response. Just go, yeah, you're very capable of it. And again, the whole gender role thing. You're a woman, so you're obviously going to be better at this than I am. And he just leaned into all of those tropes, and he said something moronic at one point, and she has this is my actual reaction, and then she has this is my fantasy reaction, and her fantasy reaction was to slap the
Yes.
living crap out of
Oh
him.
yes, loved it. Like, oh, when he was
And I'm
getting ready
like,
to leave, right?
yes, yes. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what you should have done. You should have just gone ahead and slapped him, and maybe he would understand. And I don't think you should slap people to make your point. That
No, but in your
obviously
head
that's a
though,
joke.
like
But in your head, yes. And I'm like, yes, slap him because he's. And the issue too is at that point she's so sleep deprived, she's so tired, she's so drained, she's exhausted, and she doesn't have the ability to explain that well enough. Because on the base, his mindset is, well, you want to do this, so this is what we want to let you do, and that's
Yeah.
where his base is, and he can't get that. Okay, wait, you don't want to do this anymore? Oh, it's just you need more help. And again, like you mentioned earlier, that communication is
Oh yeah.
so key to be able to say, look, this is what I want to do for our kids or whatever, but I'm not going to be able to do everything. So I need you to be this person. You need to handle these things. You need to take, like we've got like Marnie's takes the kid to Taekwondo tonight because I've got other things I need to do at home and, with the other kids. And that's such a small thing. But if she didn't do that, it would my night would just explode. I would run here, there, and I would run all over the place with that one little thing that she, of course, is happy to do. And all it took is me saying, "Hey, can you help me?"
Right.
Which I will tell you is difficult. It was very difficult for me to say that, but I needed it. And she stepped into it. And that communication in our relationship is not perfect. I'm not saying that, but communication just greases the wheels, makes everything easier just to be open and honest and say, this is a lot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. They didn't have that communication going. And
Mm-mm.
then it literally got to a point where, they didn't mention divorce. Like she just needed a break, like a
Mhm.
separation. Like that was the thing. I like the fact that they didn't go straight into a like, this has got to end. Like this
Right.
is all about our marriage. And it's like, no, this doesn't really have anything just to do with marriage. It has to do with being a parent and getting that understanding of what that's like.
Hmm.
And so they do the separation and it causes a automatic like, all right, you are now going to step into this parenting role, which I love the fact that he's like, oh yeah, like I could do this. Like
I
that was
got
the other
this,
thing.
right?
And
He's like, yeah, I
I
got
was like,
this. I am the
bro, you're
man.
about to get just annihilated. Like,
Here's
yeah,
some.
right.
Here's Dad's spaghetti. Made it special for you, and gives this 2-year-old a full
Oh my God. Yeah.
ceramic plate of spaghetti and sauce, and he goes, "Here you go, buddy." And then turns around, and of course, it's on the floor. I mean, he throws it on the floor like instantly, and it crashes and breaks the plate. He's like, okay, buddy." And yeah, you can't do that. But
No.
again, the confidence that he had was so delightful. It was so beautiful because Marnie has said that to me before. And we've had this, it was almost an argument. And she said, "Yeah, I would rock this." And I'm like, "Cool. I want you to do it for 3 weeks, not 3 hours, not 3 minutes, but I want you to do not 3 weeks of it." And you come back to me and you go, "Oh God,
Right.
I didn't know." And you can't know, I think, until you do it. So I don't fault her at all. And she would be an amazing stay-at-home mom, I'm sure. She would lose her mind because she does need way more stimulation than a 2-year-old is going to give you.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
but they went to the point of separation, which I think is very, very important as part of the story, because understanding that this was that important to her, that this had done so much damage to her, that she was willing to even separate. And this is what we need to do now so that I get you to understand what I need you to do. And then they can, get back together.
Yeah, and so that
Mhm.
she can focus on, trying to actually have something
Mhm.
outside of this relationship with this little boy
Mhm.
and really just leaning into that. And I think that the fact that she was able to take all of those emotions and turn them into this, like, and take her talent and turn it into this massive art showing
Yeah.
that basically allowed her to say everything that she wanted to say through it, and on top of it too advocate for just at-home parents in general. My favorite thing in that art thing, and I don't know what yours was, but my favorite thing was that freaking merry-go-round with the animals on it. If that was
Uh-huh.
not a like quintessential piece of like,
Yes.
yep, this is
Yep.
what the park is like. Just a
Yep.
bunch of damn wild animals running around,
Yep.
jumping on, yeah, merry-go-round, like all that kind of stuff. I was just like, I saw that piece and I was just like, yep, you nailed it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I will say whoever wrote that, I'm guessing Rachel Yoder, who wrote the book, wrote that into her book. I assume I haven't read the book, but that was like, oh wow, that's perfect. Like you said, that's the exact representation of what our life can be like as an at-home parent.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, the other thing to this whole plot, because like I feel like that's like sort of the, I guess, most realistic portions
mhm.
of the thing. And the cinematography in the show in the movie is awesome. But I
Yeah.
feel like it takes this crazy like M. Night Shyamalan like
Yes.
turn, and you're
Yes.
like, because she's first off that pimple scene. Oh my God. Ugh. Like my wife is all about like pimple popping, and I was
Oh
just like at first,
no.
like when she did the needle portion of it,
Hmm.
I was like, oh my God. And then it goes further, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
oh no, like
Yeah. It just gets
cringe to the
more and more
fullest
disgusting.
extent. Yeah. And so, like, the whole idea of this woman turning into a dog at night
Hmm.
was so wild. And then on top of it, you have the librarian who's
Hmm.
involved with it. And it's like, I don't want to give it away because honestly, I feel like it's probably one of the most, it is by far kind of this interesting, not sci-fi. I don't know what exactly that term is, but it's total M. Night Shyamalan. Like you're just watching it, you're like, this is weird, but okay. Like, sure, I could see how like
Hmm.
maybe a parent might go a little bit psychosomatic on like trying to like yeah, like at
Yeah.
night, this is what happens. Like I just escape through my dreams, but it's real in a way.
It's literally she turns into a dog. Just like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. Well, and too, like she's using different techniques to try to break her kid out of certain different things, like
Hmm.
the sleep patterns and that kind of deal, which I thought was an excellent idea, the way she did that. Like that
Yeah.
to me, I was like, if you're going to break that co-sleeping and maybe the bed's not the best, but you want to keep them close by,
Hmm.
I love the idea of the dog bed. It
Right.
it worked. I
Right.
mean, it worked. Why
And
not?
it
It's a
it played right into the kid's mentality, where the kid was and what the kid wanted to do, and
right.
it made it a fun thing for him to sleep in his own bed. And that's exactly what you want your kid to do. You want your kid to be able to go, "Oh, I don't want to sleep with you. I like that. I want to sleep." And again, if my kid had said, "I want to sleep in the drawer of this dresser," okay. As long
Okay,
as you
Eddie Munster.
sleep, yeah, right. That's fine. I'm not gonna fault you. I'm not gonna, as long as you're safe and the dresser won't fall on you or something, let's go, get out of
Right.
my bed. But again, that independence that they need that to grow and that chance that they have to step out for any reason. Of course, her husband thought she was loony. And also the other people when they were eating lunch together for the first time, when they went dog basically, and they're just face down in their food, like just devouring it, and very dog like in that, and barking and growling at each other, and the people around them are like, you're a nut. I will tell you, if that were me sitting in that room at this time, or when I had little kids, I'd have looked at them and go, yeah, you do it. You rock that. Yes, you be a dog. If that's what your kid needs, that's what you do.
Yeah.
It was delightful, really
And
was.
the yeah, so that was really a very just it was an interesting scene. Now the other thing too, so they they touch on some pretty interesting topics, big topics as well.
Hmm.
Like, we've had Corey on the show before, which she wants to come back, by the way, and talk more about perimenopause, because she
Hmm.
wants to talk about kind of what she went through last year. But they go into that, like talking about, the emotional stresses and things along those lines that Amy Adams's character is going through.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, Corey and I were watching it together, and she really appreciated it. She's like, great, like, it's finally getting out there into like the mainstream media in that way. So that was an interesting thing. And then the other thing is that, like, she was having these flashbacks of when she was a kid with her mom and
Yeah.
growing up in a Mennonite society and like just like talking about like what all did you give up and like just really
Hmm.
looking into almost, kind of what would be, I guess, like a generational trauma of sorts for
Yeah,
females,
it's a good way to put it.
which I can understand in the Mennonite society as same as the Amish society. Like those women, they don't get to do the thing that they want to do. Like their thing is basically get married and reproduce. Like, and they don't like, and then take care of the house and the kids. Like that's it.
Hmm.
And the fact that her mom was like, I could have been a famous like singer or whatever,
Yeah.
and but and all of the things that went along with that, it's one of those things where it's like we look back sometimes maybe at how our thought process is on things, and it's like, where did we get that at? Where did that come from? And if you go back far enough, sometimes you find out where it came from. And in this case, like
Hmm.
it was something from her mom, and
Yeah.
that was quite intriguing to like I said, the cinematography was awesome in the movie, and that was definitely part of it.
Yeah, it was very good. It was good. And her mom giving up singing, and we do hear her mom sing in like a choir setting,
Hmm.
and she has a beautiful voice, and she gave that up. And
Yep.
then Amy Adams' character gave up her art. And these are sacrifices that, as a parent you make. And I will say it's for all of the maybe just men in the room that aren't at-home dads, the old trope of I've got to sell my hot rod to buy a minivan kind of thing, right? That moment of sacrifice where you're looking like my kids and my family are more important than me having this awesome car anymore. I'm going to give this up. Now that isn't as common as it used to be, but it's still, I think, a good trope to put that message there of sacrifice. And what Amy Adams gave up, though, and what I think I keep coming back to on this, and is very, very important for our listeners, is identity.
Mm.
Because the question comes up more and more and more as you're an at-home parent, especially an at-home dad, in my opinion. It's a specific thing. Who am I? Who am I now that I don't bring in a paycheck? Who am I now that I don't have a job outside the home? Who am I now that I don't? The first question someone asks me is, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" And I go, I'm a homemaker, you know? And being able to understand what your identity is as a person beyond being just a parent, right? Because your kid, and you could ask your kids today who you are, and they're only going to tell you dad things probably. This is what you are to them. You're their parent, you're their world in a lot of ways. And they don't, like, my kids have never seen me split wood. Now I've done it a bazillion times. They've never seen me climb a tree and cut the limbs down. They've never seen me do so many things that I did before they existed that they can't even believe that I did it. I've shown them pictures and they're like, "Oh, huh, I didn't know you had a motorcycle." I'm like, yeah, it was a long time ago though. I mean, it's just something it wasn't. But those things that you appear to be as your kids, and that is not your identity. It's got to be more than that. You definitely have to own that. You have to step into that. But what the story brought out, and the librarian gave her a book called A Field Guide to Magical Women, I think is what it was.
Or
Um,
did she?
yeah, well, may have, but the reality of it being that was more about empowerment as women, which is fantastic. And I'm a very, very adamant feminist. I believe in equality. I don't care if you have a penis or not. I really think that's gender equity is where we need to be, and women need to step into their power, and I am all for that, right? And it talked about in the book, and I wrote this down so I could remember it. And it said, "To what identities do women turn when those available to them fail?" And I'm like, what does that mean? I don't understand. It's a little thick, but what it basically was is, what do you do when you can't, when you're only a mom or you're only a dad? What do you turn to? Because it's not enough for you, because you're not only a parent. You're so much more. You have so many facets, so many things you bring to the table, and you can offer to other people who you were before you had kids. Your genius, whatever that might be, hers being art, her mom's being singing, whatever that thing is that you have, it's still there. And you have to learn to integrate the two. And this character's answer was, okay, we're getting a separation so I can do art, and you're going to have to take care of the kid like I need you to. And that's just it. Is it just dunk you in a bath of cold water and let you realize what parenting is all about? And I don't think I would go that extreme, but that understanding that you have to reach that point and understand what or know what your identity is to be able to look at it and say, like, for me, who is Danny Mercer? Who am I? Am I just an at-home dad? God, I hope not. It is probably 90% of me, but there's so much more to every single person. And it kept coming back to, how do you expand what your identity is when the world will only see you as an at-home mom or an at-home parent?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that also with that, you have, like you were saying, the identity side of it. There are a lot of parents who are making decisions to do different things alongside of parenting. I think about some of the guys in the network who have these amazing hobbies that they're doing things like writing books
Hmm.
or creating comic books or just artwork in general. There's
Yeah,
quite a few different
photography and
photography, and yeah, and
craft
even just
beers.
there is that.
That's artistic. That really is artistic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, and there's just all those different elements to say, hey, like I like this. Woodworking is another big one. You see different
Hmm.
guys doing stuff like that, and I just find that to be one way that is definitely helping. Like for me, like it's uh just connecting with other dads, but at the same time too, just like being like kind of a helpful person around like the neighborhood and stuff.
Yeah.
And that in itself, I like it's one of those deals where it's like, it's better to give than to receive kind of situation.
Hmm.
And so for me, like that's what gives me, this energy, the ability to do that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I definitely I think that when a parent figures out that they don't have to just be a parent and that
Yeah.
they can actually have a what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say side gig. That's not what I'm thinking about. But just when they can
A
have
life
that,
outside of parenting.
yeah, when they can have that identity as a human being who does
Hmm.
something that they enjoy, that's just the thing that will help propel you forward more often than not.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
I think it's a good point.
I really appreciate the fact that you were like, let's watch this movie and talk about
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
it was really much better than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, like in the previews, all I saw was like her running with dogs, and I'm like, what the hell is
Right.
this?
What it literally, yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait. What
They
is
give
this about?
nothing away. They give
Right.
absolutely nothing away in the previews, which I love. I love that. I hate
Yeah.
previews that they like give you every like good part in the movie. You're like, well, I
Yeah.
guess I've seen it.
Yeah. And it was so well done. I have to say, like you've mentioned the cinematography, but I think really the screenplay, the screenwriting was really well done too. It just the writers who developed that screenplay, and it may be directly from the book. Again, I haven't read it. And they wrote exactly what a overwhelmed at-home parent would say. And they also wrote exactly what a somewhat clueless but still caring partner would say. I mean, I went through it, and Marnie's sitting there right beside me through most of it, and in certain parts, I went, "Uh huh," and she's like, I know, we don't do that anymore. We talked about it, and we fixed that, or whatever." But can we talk about the shower and the milk jug? Do you remember that part?
Oh
So
God,
she's
yes.
finally taken a shower, and he's got the kid, and she's having this almost existential moment in the shower where she's finally just relaxing and just God get some of the stress out, try to rest a little bit, just get a hot shower and feel better. And he knocks on the shower door with an empty milk jug, a kid in his arm, and he goes, "Hey, we're out of milk." And I swear to you, if Marnie had come into me in the shower and done that, I would have just, I would have just, hopefully the best thing that I would have done is just turn around and just keep taking my shower and be like, "Screw you. You figure this out. It's milk." But he was like, "I just don't understand how we ran out of milk." And she's like, what do you mean? You don't understand how we ran out of milk? I've been to the store 3 times this week. If I thought we were going to run out of milk, I would have bought more milk, but we use more milk than, and I'm just like, dude, you need to go, "Hey, babe, I'm going to run to the store real quick. We're out of milk. And I'm taking the kid, just so you know." And
Right?
that's what he needed to do. And that was the answer of any responsible adult, a parent would be, "Yeah, I'm going to go take care of this." But he'd been put in a place where he didn't have to think about or do any of those things. And that's a recurring thing that we've seen through the generations of marriage and couples where, well, you're the woman, you take care of this, you know? And no, no, not anymore. That's not how we do it. And the understanding of, okay, it doesn't matter. Again, if you're a man or a woman or anything else, non-binary, whatever you're, you can go buy milk and you can take the kid with you when you do it. It doesn't have to be this person's only the only person that does it, you know?
I
I'd have
think
slapped
from
that guy.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Just slapped him. If it had been a man coming to tell me that my wife, I would not hit my wife. But God, I would take the guy right in the gut. Just like, here, let me hold the baby. Ugh. Now go get milk.
The thing with that too is the whole idea of as an at-home parent that it's thought that you have an entire like, just like grasp on everything that's going on and that you're not overlooking anything at all. And then when something
Right.
does get overlooked, it's immediately like, well, why don't you know that was
Uh-huh.
out or whatever? And it's like, are you serious? Like right now? You really serious? Like she handled it in such a way that like I was just like I wanted to be like, just tell him to go to the fucking grocery store. Like for real. Like that was oh man. And she lost it. Like I love the fact
Yeah.
that she yelled at him when in bed when he obviously was trying to not wake up when that kid was rolling around and she like
Right.
finally like screams at him. And I'm like, yep, there it is too.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
yeah, man, that scene, uh, I know a very specific story of a dad who was in that exact scene flipped. So he's the stay at home, and his wife got up and there wasn't any milk in the house, and she went off on him, and it caused all kinds of problems. And
Yeah.
that's as far as I'm going to take it. I will just say that there are bigger things in the world to to you get upset about, and
Hmm.
if it's the fact that you come, oh, we're out of eggs, oh, we're out of bread, whatever it is, okay, like don't come to the parent that's at home who definitely goes to the store all the time and just be like, well, why didn't? Well, there are a lot of different scenarios as to why those things are no
Hmm.
longer in the house. And it's like, you're a grown ass adult. Get in the car, go get it yourself.
Yeah.
Take the kid
Yeah.
with you too, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
like, geez. Yeah, that evoked a lot of emotions. Like Corey was even like yelling at the TV. She's like,
Yeah.
dumbass, just go get milk. Like, why
Yeah.
are you bugging this person?
As soon as he knocked on the door and showed her the milk carton, Marnie goes, "What?" Because she knows she would never do that. Just like, yeah. Yeah.
And not only once,
Mhm.
twice.
It came back, right?
He
Right.
came back.
He went
And
away. He came back. I just don't understand why we're out of milk. Okay.
oh, that was the point at where
Give
I
me the
said,
empty
this
milk
guy's a
carton. I'm going to hit you in the
moron.
head with it. Yeah. Well, and I think too, he did want to be a better partner. He did want to be the best partner she could have. He did, I think. But he is one put in a place by generations of learning that men don't do that, which of course
Yeah.
we know absolutely anybody does that. This is a parent's job. You're a parent. But two, she also accepted that generational role of I will be the at-home mom. This is what moms do. And took it all, without really telling him, I need help with this, I need help with that. And I'm not blaming her for the situation. I don't mean that, I didn't mean it to come out like that at all. She was absolutely in a bad place and he needed to step in and help her in so many ways. But he'd been put in a place where he doesn't have to do those things. He doesn't have to think about it because he's got her, and he's been so spoiled by probably his mom taking care of him and now his wife's taking care of him. And I really, I didn't feel for him per se because he kind of pissed me off. I'm like, no, you're too oblivious. You need to step up, man. But I did understand where he was coming from, at least.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong and needs to grow up, but this is what he was given. And at no point did she say that I could see in the film, did she say, I need help here or I need more of this. She had done, she tried to do everything herself, which is phenomenal and amazing, but also not the way to do it. You got to
Yeah.
ask for help. You have to, even if you're the mom, you have to understand that that's a job for two people. It's just especially at 2 years old. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, the last thing I wanted to touch on with this was kind of what we started with that quote from what was said about the crushing the walnut. That whole scene. So she goes out to dinner with her friends that she's known forever, who are all a part of the art scene,
Yeah.
and she's
Went to
kind of
school with him.
getting that day to or night to connect with them or whatever. And it is pretty much impossible for her to connect with them and them to connect with her because of just the disconnect in life that's going on. And you just see her slowly just be grinded down to this very like primordial
Yeah.
state. And like the fact that like they had her just sort of like just this sweating mess of everything, like the way that they did that whole scene with the makeup and everything else was super impressive to me
Hmm.
because it just got to a point where it was like they weren't really connecting, nor were they really seeing where she was at all. They
Right.
were so into themselves in a lot of ways as well, but at the same time too, they're in different life stages
Hmm.
with things, and her complete breakdown of the whole thing.
Hmm.
I love how the one guy, like he I forget what he says, but it like gets her full attention. And then that's when she's like, I can crush a walnut with my vagina. And I'm like,
Right.
wow,
Right.
okay.
Step into your power, woman. That's
I was like,
right.
whew. I was like,
It
it's
was
gonna
great.
get real ugly real quick.
Uh-huh. And
Uh,
her talking through that scene and nobody's listening to her.
yeah, well, to me, I was like trying to figure out if that was the case or if it was an inner
If it
monologue
was
kind
in her
of
mom,
thing
yeah,
too.
same. I was thinking that I was trying to figure the same thing. I'm like, is this just what she's thinking? But the way she did it, it seemed like she was talking and the people around her were ignoring her. And I think that's the most poignant part of that, which you've basically already said. But that point where, again, there's this disparate, what are you talking about? A baby? Okay. We're talking about art. Remember when we went to graduate school together and we all do art together? You don't do art? Are you doing anything now? What are you working on now? And even though she answered, they listened for like 4 words and then drifted off and talked to somebody else, you
Yep.
know? And that feeling, I think, is incredibly common. Especially when you first have kids, your life changes so much. And we've talked this before about how your friend circle shrinks each time a thing happens, right? Whether it's getting married, having kids, becoming an at-home parent, you just get fewer and fewer people that get you. And that moment of sitting there with and these were probably her best friends when she was in art school. I mean, these were people that she was very, very close with. They all had the same passion. She was an amazing artist and it just was very prolific and just one of the powerhouses, right, at that table 10 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was. But now she has nothing that she's working on other than trying to, finger paint her entire house, evidently, with her kid.
Oh
Which
my
that scene,
gosh,
that
yeah.
scene bothered me a lot. That scene bothered me a lot.
Yeah, that scene made me. I was like, well, I was like, this is where you.
It is a sunny day. You go outside.
Oh,
You
I
go
was just like
outside and
this.
paint a tree.
I told Corey, I said, this is when you call in a professional to clean the house,
Hmm.
just for
Hmm.
that scene alone. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so in all, I enjoyed this movie. It was good. It was weird. Like I think I sent to you, I was like, yeah, I'd give this like a 3.75 or something
Yeah,
out of five or
you
whatever.
didn't seem that
That,
impressed.
but I think after like talking it through with you a little bit more and having some time to like, just mill through it, I'd probably put this more at like, to me, just from the portrayal of it, probably more like a 4.25, honestly, out of five, just because of how well everything was put together. Throwing out the whole like turning into a dog, like that's where it loses the 0.75 for me. But the rest of it was
That's
great.
her embracing her primal self.
Sure, no, I get it.
And the thing that her mom said close to the end of the movie, where her mom said, "I told you I would come back. I always come back because
Mm,
I choose to." Because her mom also could have gone off and been that fully primal part of herself, but then that's neglecting those other parts of her being or her herself,
yep.
and that was an amazing moment for me. And being a dog was weird. Yes, that was just weird. Okay, but so it didn't say it specifically, but the other ladies at the book babies thing were all dogs too. Did you see it?
Ooh,
Did you see it?
no, I
Yeah.
did not see that.
The
Okay.
the the three main dogs that show up, she's looking at them later, and she just gets this juxtaposition of images of those dogs and these women, what's going on. And I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know if that's the truth of it, but it seemed like that to me.
Hmm.
And it really ties into the fact that all three of them came to her at Book Babies like the first time, and they talked to her, and she kind of lost her self-control for a minute and just vomited all of her emotions out on them and then walked away. And one of the ladies goes, "She's fun. I like her," you
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, but it was so odd. But then later on, I'm like, well, are these part of, are they also dogs? Are they night bitches? Is that what we're saying here? And again, I don't, I didn't really get the message was clear, but it really seemed like they were leaning into that.
I like that. Yeah, I could see that now that you say that. So,
You watch it
well, I
again.
guess that's
Watch it
just
again,
something.
you'll see it.
Yeah, definitely. And well, and
You're not
that's
gonna
the
watch it
thing,
again.
like anybody listening to this, like definitely watch this movie because it's definitely intriguing. And if you can watch it with your spouse, like that's even better because
Yeah.
if you're having trouble getting to communicate, this is a great way for them to maybe see
Hmm.
some things, or there might be a
Yeah.
little like light that goes on or something like that. So, what did you rate the movie as?
Well, I'm a 10 scale person. I don't do five
Okay,
scale. So I 10
sure.
out of 10.
10 out of 10. Okay.
Loved it. Loved this movie. I think it spoke exactly to, of course, it's weird, but I'm weird. And that fit for me. I mean, that just makes it more appealing.
Yeah.
But just the explanation of just the struggles of an at-home parent
Yeah.
and the partner just not being able to understand it and the need for communication and then the need to own your identity, know who you are beyond a parent. It was all great. I love it. Someone mentioned it or recommended it in our Discord, and I came back and I don't remember who that was, but you were absolutely right. Everyone should watch this movie. It's on Hulu. I'm sending it to my friends and my family. Everybody needs to watch this movie. If you're an at-home parent or not, um, definitely just give it a watch, and it really really helps understand a lot about what we struggle with.
Well, I really hope that Rachel Yoder listens to this episode. Honestly, I'm gonna tag her in it
Sure.
because, like, I think she would be an awesome addition to come to Home Dad
Hmm.
Con
Oh, wow, that'd be
and
hilarious. Yeah.
talk. Yeah. Well, and I think some of this falls in line with her because I was looking in her Wikipedia. It says that she grew up in an international Mennonite community over in the Appalachian foothills
Oh,
of
okay.
Eastern Ohio. So there is some
Hilarious.
background of her life in that book as well. So yeah, so that I'll definitely put up a link for the book and for the movie for people to check out.
This is her debut novel, from what I'm
Well,
reading.
well done. It
Yeah.
like really very well done. So and Amy Adams is great in it as well. I mean,
Hmm.
she's an amazing
And
actress anyways. So
and you mentioned the makeup earlier, like when she was at dinner and sweating and everything. She
yeah.
wasn't her because she's beautiful,
No
and but
makeup pretty much throughout the entire movie.
right, and they just and honestly, I feel like they put makeup on her to make her look like she wasn't wearing makeup. I mean, they really just went and just leaned into the fact that she's tired and she's a little overweight and she's just not enjoying anything that she's doing. It's all she could do to brush her hair every day, with that
Yeah.
kid around. And it was just so well done. She
Yeah.
did a great job. Of course, she's a fantastic actor anyway, but just did a great job leaning into that I'm not going to be the most beautiful person in the world because I'm living with a 2-year-old and I can't even, I can barely take a shower every day, much less get, all gussied up.
Like I said, this movie was definitely worth watching. Hopefully, others will check it out as well. Don't really have anything else for the show, so I mean that's pretty much the show. We're up against the wall, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I think that I would like to maybe talk some other movies with you because a movie that I haven't seen yet, which is kind of maybe surprising to some people, is the Kevin Hart movie on fatherhood that's on Netflix.
Yeah. I haven't seen it either, but yeah.
Okay.
It
Or
looked
maybe that's
good.
it.
I didn't watch it because at the time it was shortly after I had enough grief going on, let's say, and I
Yes,
believe that was the one where he lost his partner
it
and
was. It
he
is. Yes.
becomes fully, a single parent, and that I wasn't ready for that. So I'm probably ready for that now. I
All
could
right.
watch that.
Cool. Good deal. Well, until next time, hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.